And welcome back, everyone, to the finale of the Ahsoka season spoiler cast. Yeah, tips. I just forgot to talk then, like straight up. Knew what I was going to say, and it just didn't come out. I think that's my usual MO, to be fair. But yeah, as always, I'm Mitch. You can follow me on the socials, link tree in description. If I actually tweet or Instagram or anything, socials is an interesting place at the minute. Very, very unsociable. But it wouldn't be a season spoiler cast without the one and only Jared, the Dark Jedi, the trivia loser. That was funnier for me because I had the reaction.
I had the loaded, and it just kept okay. Speaking of trivia stuff, I'm going to do a little bit of plugging up top.
You plug.
I'm going to plug. I have an episode on For the Republic, the other podcast that my co-host Connor Chikiti is a co-host on, coming out about our favorite Star Wars games. And I may or may not have accidentally stolen about half an hour of that show to talk about Star Wars Obi-Wan. The Xbox exclusive game from the early 2000s that I think made me a Star Wars fan.
I remember.
I love that game so much. It's so bad, and I love it. It is awful, and it is everything I
early
love.
2000 Star Wars game being bad, you don't say.
They
were few and far between.
Yeah, but so that's coming up. But also, speaking of the trivia stuff and me hopefully not losing, I do have a match in Epic Confrontations coming up. I will be playing a few months ago, I had a Legends exhibition match with our current number one contender, Alden Diaz, twice minted because he won the Hyperspace Gauntlet. So he's up there. Good, I'm happy for him. I lost our Legends exhibition match, and because of that, Alden got to pick my next singles opponent after Scotty J. Rowe. Now, Alden, all I know is that Alden has picked a former Movie Trivia Schmodown player. That is all I know. I have a handful of people that I know that it isn't, but that does not narrow it down a lot. So for those of you who are fans of the Movie Trivia Schmodown, may it rest in peace, and like some Star Wars trivia, go over to the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel. I think if you type in Epic Confrontations Trivia, you'll be able to find it. I'm not sure when the match will be out. I believe we're recording it on the 14th. And those typically have a turnaround time of a few days. So look for it around then. I will be sure to share it into the Facebook group for Comic Book Cast. So just keep an eye out for that, and send me the good energy. Lend me your spirit for this very, very scary match I have coming up. But yeah, no, go check that out, and obviously the Nerd Academy podcast.
Yeah, do that. But speaking of stolen, I do have a confession to make.
Yeah,
I've absolutely stolen your thumbnails for this, by the way.
What do you mean?
You know your live thumbnails where you have the background and then there's like you.
Oh, like the Peridia map from the credits.
Yeah. It's not exactly the same, but
let me take a look at the channel real quick.
I
have my entire format is ripped from this YouTube channel, so I did it. Talk any smack.
I say I did it. I was like, I wonder if he's going to notice this, and then I waited. And I was like, well, he hasn't said anything yet, so I'm just going to.
I think I remember seeing something. I went, oh, hey, look, there's the map to Peridia. But now that you say it,
it doesn't use the Peridia map. In fact, I almost used a Peridia map, but I thought that was too on the nose. But it's just the general layout of
like
figure on a side, and then.
Okay, I think it looks clean. I like it. I think having the Ahsoka text in pink looks cool.
That's changed. I'm changing that to white. I'm just messing about in a minute.
But no, I think it looks good. It took me forever to land on the call-in show thumbnails, because at first I just didn't know what to make them look like, and eventually, once we got the credits, I was like, oh, use the map to Peridia, and then I was using what looked like kind of like an ancient scroll of text as the frame for the shot from the show, and then I went, oh, I'm a dum-dum. I'll just use a white circle. It looks like the World Between Worlds.
Smart. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick before we jump into the episode, I have to address something, Mitch.
Depends what this addressing is. Depends whether it stays in or not.
So yesterday, I think I've mentioned it when I'm on this show. I mention it on my show all the time. I'm in a group chat.
I is this what is this about a certain tweet?
And I am in a group chat with a handful of other
You know
Star
what? You
Wars.
retweeted that, and I was like, "You son of a bitch!" Yeah, I know exactly why he's done that.
He's like, it's gonna end up on Star Wars Twitter. So I retweeted it because I agreed with your tweet. You know, because I think just to clear the air, just to clear the air, you don't hate Andor like that.
No, I don't. But it's incredibly funny how people react to it.
And a lot of my friends love to joke about not liking Andor because, you know, it's for all the reasons we've talked about. It is an incredible show. It has so much to say. It is a fantastic Star Wars. It is just also
incredibly mid.
The most annoying Star Wars fans' favorite Star Wars show at this point. Yeah. And I retweeted it. And later in that group chat of other Star Wars YouTubers and podcasters, Trey Mitchell of Mile High Cinema sent that tweet into he didn't send it in. He just said, he added me in the chat and said that Andor retweet gave me cancer. and my only response was based Mitch.
Thank you.
And then Alden was like, and I was like, but I explained like you don't actually hate it, blah 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 blah. And then Alden was like, yeah, but him punctuating that with a trash can really hurt. I was like, yeah, but it was funny. And then later that day, Jerry from the Bombad cast, who did not see the earlier exchange about it, then sends the tweet in hours later. And it's like, what the hell is this? And I was just so entertained. Because I thought it's because like I talk about the goons on this show, and I talk about the CBC friends to the goons, and then they finally crossed over, and it was you hazing people who like Andor, and it made me very happy. And I needed you to know that you had made a bit of a splash in my friend group for.
You can tell them that the tweet worked as intended. No. Andor is incredibly mid, but it worked as intended.
God damn it! You keep making me have to defend Andor, and I don't want to. It's an amazing show.
It's part of the fun. It is absolutely part of the fun. Agent of Chaos is part of the fun.
Because you push it too hard. You pushed it a bit too hard. Like, I will agree with Alden. I think the trash can was a bit much.
No. Look, if it wasn't for the trash can, it never would have got in that group.
I don't think so.
The trash can worked.
I think if it was just Andor, just with so many dots between it and what was it? Book of Boba Fett was the one.
Yeah, Boba Fett had the one dot between it.
Yeah. It was like Kenobi dot, Boba dot.
It was not Kenobi dot. Kenobi was first.
Oh, what was it?
Kenobi, Mando,
Ahsoka dot Boba Fett dot repeating Andor. Again, it was very funny.
It does, makes me happy inside that it gets that much of a visceral reaction from people. I adore it.
Deeply funny. Deeply funny. But anyway, Ahsoka.
Yes, so it is finished. It is ended. Some people might say it's vapid, which I woke up to that take today, and that was a way to start.
I don't know who let that fall out of their fucking thing. Sorry,
I have no idea who it was. I just saw it on my Twitter opened up to the follow page, and it was at the top of that, and I was like, "That's a take."
Man, I think it's funny that the bad Ahsoka takes. Like, I've seen some bad reads. I've seen some really weird predictions. Like, for example, going into the finale, it was not until after the finale I saw people talking about the whole, Abeloth is coming.
See, here's the thing.
I did not see that until I heard people making jokes about people saying Abeloth was coming. I never saw any of them. And then I saw the finale. I talked about it with Eli of In a Galaxy, the commissioner of Epic Confrontations. And then I heard it, and then I started seeing them, and I was like, the people are just pulling this out of thin air, and just it's just such a bizarre read of the end of the show.
One of the guys in my Destiny clan, right? He's a massive Star Wars guy, right? Massive Star Wars kid. When was it? I think it might have been the third episode. So what, the second week? Didn't they do 2 and then 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the second week went Abeloth. Right off the bat, and I was like, who? Because obviously I don't do my Star Wars Legends homework because who's got time for that trash? But
hey now.
I mean, I can say that it's not canon, it's fine. But yeah, and I was like, who the hell is that? Like, I don't know. Is Filoni going to pull something like that from Legends? He's been pulling some stuff from Legends, I know that much, but whatever. And then as the weeks went on, he just carried on saying it. He was like, I'm certain it's Abeloth. Certain it's Abeloth. Like, if it's not, I'm going to scream. If it is, I'm going to scream. Come to the finale, and he just straight up goes, well, shit, I was right. I was like, how? And then he went through the whole connection with Abeloth. But I don't know, the more I hear about that, the more I think it's true. Because didn't the Mortis gods die in Clone Wars? You are muted.
Sorry. They die, but I mean, them being gods, I think you could make an argument that maybe they reincarnate. Like, there's a whole thing where, like,
yeah.
and I will say, it has been forever and a day since I've seen the Mortis arc. I will just put that out there up front. And I've been waiting to rewatch it till I get to it with Taylor and me showing her the Clone Wars, and we're pretty close to Mortis.
Yeah.
Because Jerry from Bombadcast, he made like a really good like essential Clone Wars guide. And like I keep seeing we're only like 2 or 3 arcs away, and I just keep telling Taylor, I'm like, it's about to get so weird. I'm like, I'm just warning you, babe. It's about to get so bizarre.
Yeah.
You are not ready for how bananas this is about to get. But no, as I remember it, the son dies and the father dies, and the daughter gives her essence to Ahsoka to revive her.
Yeah.
And in doing so becomes the convor that we see with Ahsoka all the time. The convor we see.
She's the owl, right?
The owl.
Yeah.
Morai, I believe, is the name of the
convor. Morai, yeah.
So, and we see Morai on Peridia, which I think is cool. I just think it's cool that Morai just shows up. Like, there's no conceivable way for this bird to have ended up on Peridia. There's I just think it's great.
Well, it's the weird spacey stuff, if they're as close to a god as you can be, or if they actually legitimately are gods, then yeah, you can just appear wherever you want. Obviously, they have some connection there because there's giant Lords of the Rings statues of the 3 of them. Yeah,
so I'm fascinated by the Mortis connection on Peridia. And I think that there's something really fascinating in the idea that, like, like Balin says all the way at the beginning of the show, that like the very idea of Peridia's existence is rooted in galactic folklore.
Yeah.
So the idea that I think Balin lands on is, if all this nonsense about Peridia, like the Great Purgle Graveyard, is true, and it is the actual home of the Night Sisters, and all of these other things that he's seeing are true, it's fact.
Yeah.
And it's not folklore, it is fact. And I think he came to the conclusion that other legends on Peridia must be true. So I like the idea that a lot of the Force religion stuff has its roots on Peridia, up to and including there being this like crazy mountain sculptures of the Mortis gods. So I find it interesting, and again, I'm just convinced that we have a particularly bad TV, because I didn't realize what Balin was looking out to was like some like glowing like altar across the mountain.
Is it glowing?
I've seen either glowing or there's like a beam of light coming from it.
Yeah, I've seen a comparison from a Clone Wars shot where I think it's Anakin looking out, and it's like a mountain range, and it's all glowy, but it's at night, so you can really tell that it's glowing. And it was comparing it to the shot of it's the exact same shot of Baden looking out, and it's not the exact same mountain range, but it's similar. But I couldn't tell if it was glowing or not. And watching the episode twice, I wouldn't say anything is glowing to me. It looks like snow.
Yeah, well, I've seen like screenshots of like 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 on Twitter where it's like the 4-picture thing,
Yeah,
and it's like Balin coming up, Balin standing on the arm of the father, the shot of the father and the son with like the destroyed daughter, and then like the shot of whatever thing has that light emitting from it. So it's interesting. I have seen people go Abeloth confirmed, and that I've made that joke on Knights of the Nerd Republic.
Yeah.
Very very Mephisto. Like in WandaVision, like
Yeah.
I don't know where we're getting Abeloth confirmed from.
Well, doesn't Abeloth also have a connection to Night Sisters? Isn't she?
I don't. It's
I
been
want to
so
say she
long.
did. From the little bit that I've read of her, from the quick scan of the wiki, like I'm certain there was something about Night Sisters on there.
I don't remember if she has a connection to the Night Sisters. I know that she was considered the mother in the Mortis.
Yeah, in the 4,
like, yeah. Like it's not 3, it's 4, and she's the mother. So I'm not sure. This
is fascinating that you're not sure.
Yeah, and
gives you a whole different angle.
Well, thank you. That's very, I appreciate you trusting my voice that much. But I don't know. I don't know. If truth be told, if they're gonna do Abeloth, I trust Dave. I trust Dave to do something that bananas, because like the only thing I've ever said I never want to see become canon is Yu Zhong Vong. That is the only thing that I just take immense umbrage with as a Star Wars fan, is the idea that going to a different galaxy makes the Force go away. That is the only thing I have ever just will never not have a bad taste in my mouth for.
It's too video gamey. So hey, here's a new place, you can't use the stuff you have.
Yeah, there's that, and I am too attached to the Force as a spirituality and a religion within the universe that I don't like the idea that you can just hand wave away the power of the Force in any way. It frustrates me. My capacity for that stops with the Ysalamiri and like the Leveler from the High Republic. Like that is where that line is drawn for me. And even then, with the Ysalamiri, it's like it's still kind of pushing it, and the Leveler, its weird interactions with the Force are because of its own connection to the Force. Like I can accept the Leveler way easier than I can handle the Yu Zhong Vong. So I think it's interesting. I'm not going to rule out Abeloth. I'm also not going to say that I understand how anybody could have seen how the show ended and went Abeloth confirmed. Again, those are one of those like blind spots for me, where like the deeper into the new Jedi Order you get, the less and less I confidently know. Like that is a huge Legends blind spot for me, and I think a lot of it is because it is just like 3 or 4 huge collections of novels that tell those stories, that all kind of consecutively work together. But no, I mean, talking about it, there is we now have it confirmed logistically that the Balin's skull will likely be recast.
100%.
Like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if he was gonna die in this episode. I didn't know if this episode was going to be like a Team Ahsoka v Team Thrawn, and while they're trying to do that, Balin does some wild Force nonsense that everybody's like, oh my god, okay, we all need to handle this first. Maybe not necessarily a team up, but like there's some level of like, oh, like no one's leaving Peridia while he's doing this. And I think it was interesting how little Balin and Shin we got at the end. I love the idea that we see Shin choosing, as the dark side is to do to an individual, is choosing the quick and easy route. She's choosing a path of violence. She's picking to be, like a wandering marauder, and
Mm.
because she is so powerful, especially compared to a common warrior, um, she's able to just kind of like become the leader of these bandits like it's nothing. Um, and Balin is just doing cool stuff, and I want to know more. And it breaks my heart that, again, I think the thing that is so sad about Ray Stevenson's passing in terms of like his performance as Balin Skull is Ray got to do all of the enigmatic, say some cool stuff and then stare into the middle distance
Mm.
moments. But whenever Balin is inevitably recast, he will not get to be the one to bring home Balin's
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. He's only set it up. He can't actually bring it
Yeah,
home.
and it was incredible setup, and now it falls on a very unfortunate actor
Yeah.
to have the follow through of wrapping up whatever's going on in Balin's story. And I look forward to it. I think Balin Skull is just an incredibly written character. And a lot of, and so much of that presence is because of Ray Stevenson. And, I'm sure they'll be able to find an actor who can, at the very least, live up to Ray. I know you and I are very much on the Liev Schreiber
100%. Yeah.
but yeah, it was really, really fascinating. Like, just again, why is the daughter statue not there? Like, and it's the thing that I find most interesting about the daughter statue not being there is because they're like the whole mountain is broken apart because of it. Like people kept
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah. The fracture. Yeah.
"Oh, the daughter's statue is decapitated," and I'm like,
Oh,
well,
it is?
her head isn't there, but like, if you look at where the son is, like he fits nicely next to the father, whereas like there's just a whole chunk of mountain missing. So like, was part of that mountain destroyed by some other religious group that did not see the daughter as worthy of being praised like that? Or is
Or it's
like
missing someone.
Peridia so weirdly deeply connected to the Force that the daughter not directly sharing the same fate as the father and son, has the Force removed her from that weird like mountain thing, or and they get, this is just me spitballing, are we going to see an extension of that where, let's say, Ahsoka meets her end heroically in the Filoni movie or in season 2, and that fills back in, but it's not the daughter, it's Ahsoka Tano. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, I just the daughter not being there is such an interesting choice, and I want to know what it means so badly. And I'm just in a show that has like, obviously we get like a whole episode in the World Between Worlds where Ahsoka gets to have her own
Mm.
memory gauntlet and all of that. And we're going to different galaxies, and so much of it is based in weird Force lore. Then Dave just at the very end spikes the ball with,
Yeah.
oh, also the Mortis gods are worshipped here too. Do with that what you will. Goodbye.
It's a good cliffhanger.
It's fantastic. Quite literally, it's a fantastic cliffhanger.
Mm.
And I'm glad that Star Wars is like quite literally doing cliffhangers now. Like we had that in Force Awakens, where it's just,
I mean,
and
now? Really? Now? Only now?
no, I mean like it's literally on a cliff.
Oh,
I
you want
mean
to go
literal
literal, yeah.
cliffhangers. I mean literal cliffhangers. That is twice now that we have had, Luke just, and then now we have Balin Skull on like the ledge of a mountain, and that's where his story ends for now.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I find it fascinating. I look forward to getting a little bit more into the weeds with the Abeloth stuff to maybe get a better understanding of her mythos. Because again, it's something that's very much in my blind spot, but So I don't know all the details. I know the highlights.
Yeah.
So
Hey, but your point about how there's a gap and like a fracture between the three of them, and her not having a head, but we see the owl as well. You could very well easily make the argument that the gap is there because Abeloth is alive. If she is the mother, then she's the fourth. She fits in that gap. The daughter doesn't have the head of a statue because she's not dead. Like the statue's formed when the three of them quote died. You could quite easily go down that route.
you could, and like I said, I don't want to like dwell too much on like how you make Abeloth work, because
No, but it's
yeah.
it's just to for the people that think it is, and
Oh yeah, I mean, I can,
without really
yeah.
knowing much about the character itself, I can see how it's quite an easy conclusion to come to. I think it would fit neatly into a season 2. It just expands the whole Mortis stuff. We've only got 3 episodes of them in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
You can just then expand, and also the family dynamic, right? You have a father, you have a daughter, and a son. Like you have a mother there somewhere. Like, and considering the Ahsoka's about families and found families and all this, well, at least with Ahsoka anyway.
Yeah.
With the whole Rebels bit. And then you got Shin and Balin, like having that for a season 2 to go off of. No.
Well, I think
it's a safe bet.
I think there's also something interesting in there somewhere where, like, I know there's that art, and I know I cape for the Force Unleashed and the Star Killer more than most people. I do think it gets a bad rap.
We all have our flaws.
No, it gets a bad rap because some of the most annoying fans who don't actually understand the mythology of Star Wars hold it up as how Star Wars should work when they never read the book, and they don't understand that, like, that's like we're experiencing a heightened whatever. There's that fan art that goes around every so often that I do think is interesting, where it is the Mortis mural in Rebels, where it was like that wall you had to use to get to the world between worlds, which again, like, I think in the conversations that's happening right now in the wake of the finale, we're kind of overlooking the fact that in some way, shape, or form, the Mortis gods are also linked to the world between worlds.
Yeah.
So you have that link there, and I do love that fan art that goes around where it's that mural of the Mortis gods on Lothal. But in place of the daughter, it is Ahsoka. The father is split down the middle, Anakin Skywalker on Ahsoka's side, and then it's Vader on the other side, and then the son is represented by a Starkiller.
I literally saw that last night, actually. Yeah.
And I think it's a really interesting idea because, like, I do think it is weird that, like, we as a fandom have never really pondered beyond me seeing like Galen Merrick versus Ahsoka Tano at like maybe one point during like the height of the Star Wars versus YouTube channels, that like that idea floated of like, how would these characters interact with each other? Because like they were trained, literally by the same person, but like not really,
but at the same time, not,
So, like, I do think it is interesting. I think that idea of, like, letting Ahsoka face the dark apprentice of Anakin Skywalker is I do think it's an interesting idea. Now, after the finale, I do think there's something interesting at play here where I think you could make an argument of, like, how that new Mortis trinity works. That perhaps it is not it's obviously not Starkiller, but like maybe Balin is in that son role,
Yeah.
Because if you, again, like a lot of like the son's, goals when Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka arrived on Mortis was that he was like, I'm just going to fix the galaxy by myself. Like I'm going to cheat. I'm going to show you your destiny, and I'm just going to let you get ahead of this now. And the way that it bloodlusted Anakin. And obviously, the son is like in his head, like, clouding his mind. But I'm going to give you what you need to go back into your galaxy and like kill Palpatine and get ahead of get ahead of everything falling apart. I think Balin might be falling into that role because he keeps talking
Yeah.
about, like, I serve a higher purpose, I serve a greater good. Like, Thrawn coming back is not my goal, it is a means to an end. So perhaps we're heading that way, but then it begs the question, who now is the father in this analogy? You know, like, I don't think it's still Anakin because Balin and Anakin don't have much of a connection. You know, apparently, obviously they've met and they've talked. You know, Anakin
Yeah.
always spoke
Yeah.
very highly of you. But we don't know how personal that connection was. We don't know if that was
But you
just
could make the
Anakin.
argument that Anakin still fills that father role because now's coincidentally the first time he shows up as a Force ghost.
Well, Return of the Jedi on Endor.
All right, true. Yeah, all right.
But I know
For
what you mean.
Ahsoka,
I
like,
understand what you mean.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. I legit
Um,
actually forgot about Return of the Jedi.
I
Like, oh
just,
yeah, I love that movie as well.
just for the sake of completionist and comment sections.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, you know. So I'm very, very interested in what this addressal of Mortis means. Like, it is one of those moments where, you know, I at the very beginning of the show where they're talking about going to Peridia and all this folklore. You know, Taylor, who hasn't seen all of Clone Wars and hasn't seen any of Rebels yet, had this moment where she kind of paused it and she said, "What is going on? Please explain this to me." And I was like, this is all new to me as well. I don't know what's happening either. Where, you know, and I don't blame her for thinking that, like, what they're talking about something she hasn't seen yet but was established. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is all brand new. So you're good. You're good. You should feel confused. Everybody who's watching this right now is. Then now, like, she hasn't seen the finale yet. Now we're at the Mortis stuff, and I can't wait for her to be like, "Oh, what does that mean?" And I just get to confidently be like, "I do know who these people are. I do not know what this means. I am just as confused as you are, in a different way."
But here are 3 episodes of all we know. These
Yeah,
people.
but hey, we're getting there. So buckle up. It's gonna get weird. So yeah, it's so this show is just so dense in the best way. I truly don't understand how people don't like this show.
No, I can't see how
truly
you
don't.
can watch this and get absolutely nothing out of it. I think there's absolutely nothing in it. I really don't get how people have that take, but
Man,
if you want to be in that, I'm in my late teens, early 20s phase of I hate everything because I'm going to redefine who I am, you'll come out of it eventually.
yeah, no, I mean, hey, listen, Collider articles are going to Collider.
What's Collider done now?
There's like a handful of like articles in the middle of the show that were like, Ahsoka is like going nowhere fast and has nothing to say, and it's like a whole show of somehow Palpatine returned, and it's like, okay, we get it. You don't like the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
like,
it's been years now. Move on.
Yeah,
like, come on.
Yeah, truly. But no, all of that said about the ending, kind of moving back into the meat of the finale itself. I really loved the way that, you know, because it's been the word that has been used, like high fantasy. This is the most high fantasy Star Wars we've ever had. I do love that the finale is them storming a castle, you know?
Yeah.
And again, like, it's fun little payoffs. Like, Morgan, like, not only does Morgan become fully realized as like a night sister, not just descended of them, but with like the gaunt skin and like the weird like sunken tattoo thing, whatever's. The Sword of Talzin, dude, I howled that. That shit is so cool. That is such a grand idea to be like the Sword of Talzin. Like, it's stuff like that just I was like, yes, keep making this as like it became laser sword and sorcery.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
I want to touch on that sword. It's not necessarily the sword. The sword was cool. I like the whole thing with that. And I hate to go into this topic. It's not even really a topic, but it's just something that stopped me from really getting into this episode right at the start. I didn't like the creative choice of all the Night Sister fire, like the green flames, not casting light. Because when there's the three, like the Great Mothers, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when the three of them stand there summoning that sword, you have that pillar, and the effect's good, but it looks plastered on because there's no green being cast on any of them. And I get why they've done it. They wanted to make it look weird and otherworldly and all this supernatural stuff.
Yeah, I
But
do.
it just put me off of it.
I understand that. I had a similar moment. And I do have like I don't, concern isn't the right word. I don't like throwing like, oh, I'm worried about this. It's something that I'm like apprehensive about and I'm not fully sold on towards the end. But I hear what you mean. My like it took me out was there's a like great hero shot of Ahsoka in the middle with Ezra and Sabine in their like ready stances.
Yeah.
And then like that, then they're just like fielding a hail of blaster fire from the night troopers.
Which hilariously Sabine takes a shot to the head straight away. I like to point that.
Well, listen. So
Funny as hell.
Real quick little quick tangent here. So back on the Patreon versus series, which we're going to be releasing 4 episodes of next week to get caught up.
Ooh.
$5 Patreon.
Give my boy money.
I was rewatching Vader's fight with Kanan and Ezra because we were doing Kanan versus Reva for the Versus series, and I forgot that when Vader shows up, Sabine just tries to blap Vader, and not only does he deflect the bolt, he shoots her in the head.
Oh, does he? I've literally only watched like Rebels once, and that was years ago. Now
Vader just goes bop, and it bing right off of her helmet. And I had to pause.
The disrespect.
I had to pause it and just laugh for 5 minutes. That Vader all nonchalantly had Sabine like not been a Mandalorian or didn't have her helmet on, like
would have just ended right there.
Blaster bolt lobotomy, like in front of God and everybody. Just how vicious that was. So the fact that Sabine just honey, never take that helmet off. You like I don't want to say something unfair or mean spirited, like Sabine needs a helmet, kind of thing.
No,
but like
play to your strengths. You're a
honey, never take that thing off because people are shooting for your head a lot now. But yeah, so she like catches that bolt, and I thought that was funny. It reminded me of Vader just trying to blow her brains off. But no, so like Sabine and Ezra, like they're just like doing the thing and blocking the blaster bolts. Rosario looks so good and brings such a fantastic physicality to the sword play.
Yeah.
She is so good in these duels.
She doesn't look floaty, if that's the right word, if you get what I mean with that.
Yeah, and in the sword,
a bit like
yes, she looked super goofy deflecting blaster bolts. I don't know why. There was this weird like loosey-goosiness to her that just looked kind of fan filmy, And I understand that like blocking a scene, shooting a scene where you don't know where anything's coming in, so like they kind of got to put where you're moving your swords at in post. But it looked funky. It looked weird. Maybe it was the way it was shot. That was the first time an action beat has taken me out of Star Wars.
It was that whole scene. No, there's two sides to it because you get the nice little detail of it. Both Ahsoka and Ezra are reflecting the blasters back, but Sabine's just dinking them down to the floor.
Yeah. Sabine's getting shot, and then there just comes a point where she is blocking with her lightsaber and then shooting them back.
Yeah,
with her pistol.
It's not like the choreography of that. It looked well thought out, but then there was something about the way it was shot as a whole. I don't know if they were intending it to be shot like a cartoon, because that's the impression I got in some bits. I'm like, this literally looks like for better or for worse, it looks like it's from Rebels and Clone Wars, or maybe like early Clone Wars. There was something off about it.
Well, it also feels like there were shots missing. Like, they kind of just show up in the entryway to the castle. There isn't a moment where they like come through and have their like, haha, bzz, 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 like they come through and turn on their swords. Like they just kind of walk through and there's action happening already. Or like,
Yeah.
when they're cutting back and forth between Ezra and Sabine and, what's going on here and with Thrawn on the Chimera and like all of that stuff. Like you don't see Ahsoka, if I remember correctly. Again, I only watched the episode, it was a couple days ago once. You don't really get a shot of like Ahsoka making her way up the stairs.
I think you do.
You do? Because I don't know, it just kind of feels like it shows up on the roof with all the night troopers and like I don't know. There was it felt
no.
like
When she's fighting Morgan, no, you don't. She's literally a fight starts, but I don't think you really get the impression of where it is.
Yeah, they fight in that little like atrium area, and then they're just
and
on
then
top
the
of that
next thing
castle.
you know, she's there. Yeah.
Which
There's
again,
no in between shot establishing that the fight's moving up. It's just wham bam.
You just turn around and and granted, like you get that realization from Sabine's perspective, and I do think it, and it works. From Sabine's perspective, it works in that like we're fully running out of time. There are more troopers here now. Morgan Elsbeth is still fighting. We're running out of time. So the second one less so than the first one, but yeah, just like the blaster bolt deflection, it just didn't work for me. I don't know what it was about the way that Rosario was blocked, but it didn't work. It didn't work for me. It kind of took me out a little bit, but it's immediately redeemed by an incredible fight with Morgan Elsbeth. And I
even there's a lot of rolling around on the floor, which I thought was odd choice. But
I mean, I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that. What I think is interesting, and obviously it's she's not going to get a third crack at it. I think it's cool that both times Ahsoka has fought Morgan Elsbeth, she is disarmed of her Shoto.
Yeah,
like that Morgan is able to consistently score that hit of stripping her of one of her swords, and then Morgan comes in a little too hot after that and then gets pieced up for it.
Yeah. That's an interesting point.
I just thought that was cool that like consistently Morgan Elsbeth can get this close to beating her. And it's something I relate to, that you get this close to beating them. And then some nonsense happens. That, and also just that kill. Oh man, that was one.
That was a bit of I can't really say the word I want to say on YouTube, but bit of a spicy, because it's not, she doesn't hit her with the saber and the sword of Towson at the same time. It's slash, and then there's a little pause, and then bang.
It's like saber, sword, and like
a little bit of Venom in that last one. Her face as well. She looked a bit like.
I mean, hey, you're dealing with somebody who is hard to kill and has like become magical.
Oh, there is that.
So,
yeah.
So I thought it felt, we throw the word video game around sometimes, and it's kind of used as a pejorative. That might be the first time I've seen a Star Wars thing where it feels like I watched somebody do a finisher.
Yeah.
Like I'm always talking about how like I have this big grand pitch for a Star Wars fighting game. That's Ahsoka's finisher.
Yeah.
Is like boom, boom across the gut, and you just kind of down, No, that was.
If NetherRealm made it, you get the X-ray.
Just everything kind of coming open in slow motion. Man, that is something I never, quite frankly, ever want to see, is like the viscera of a lightsaber wound. Quite frankly, I think the lightsaber.
Well, I think that's part of the beauty of them, right? Because it's obviously there's heat to it, so it's instantly going to caught. What's the word? Is it cauterize?
Yeah.
Like you're not really going to get like blood and guts pile out because it's all been burnt. It's just all instantly sealed up. So
it's the stuff on the inside though that is like, oh man, that's not good. In the way that like
it's in the same spot, it's just slightly missing a piece. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's like one of my favorite things about like if you think about how a lightsaber wound works. I love like whenever Twin Suns came out, people loved to complain about how, oh, they clearly wanted Obi-Wan to like hit Maul in the head, but they had to Disneyify it. No. The way Obi-Wan kills Maul is actually way cooler if you understand. Like, let's just get y'all are about to be so impressed that I've ever felt the touch of a woman with what I'm about to say. So Zabrak anatomy, they have two hearts.
Yeah.
So the way I've always assumed Obi-Wan cut Maul is because he has him up here. Like Maul tries to do the thing. We've all seen the Sam Witwer clip where he tries to like, bust Obi-Wan in the face and then like he did the Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan cuts straight through the lightsaber, and I've always assumed cuts through his chest.
Mm.
And I've always interpreted that as Obi-Wan cut the tube that connects his hearts.
Yeah.
And that's why Maul immediately dies. He's like, because Maul's like, because you were dealing with somebody who's tanked lightsaber wounds and force lightning before.
Yeah.
Like Obi-Wan just so quick, like it is a kill shot for that reason. But anyway, another
make
thing,
sure you tell Taylor you appreciate her tonight after that.
I will.
Good.
It's not happened a lot, but there have been moments where I've said things talking about, nerd stuff that she just looks at me and just goes, wow. Why did you know even
you can see the weighing the pros and cons suddenly. It's like
yeah, I don't blame her.
Is it worth?
I don't blame her.
You're doing something right.
If you can diagram the internal parts of a lightsaber, you need to be really funny.
If you can get more out of that fight than he cut him vertically instead of horizontally, then yeah, well done.
Yeah. It's like, he cut his hearts, which is vicious, man. But no, another thing I thought was really funny about the fight was, first of all, so congratulations, everybody. We got there in a little bit more of a roundabout way than we anticipated, but we did eventually get our zombie stormtroopers.
Yes.
Now, the thing that I think...
Which, I'm just... Not to dog on their choice of designs. Sabine kills the Death Trooper by, through the head, through the helmet, right?
Lightsaber lobotomy.
Yeah, but the eyes light up like it's hollow.
So, again,
are these all just smoke and
no,
mirrors?
Because the jaw's messed up. So, you see that it's like rah, 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 rah. It's Sabine.
Oh yeah, because she blasts the helmet, don't she? Yeah, but that is
So So first of all, talking about like the viscera of a lightsaber wound, I think that implies that because of the lenses, you can see. Oh man, this is so gnarly. That,
or is it just
the green of the lightsaber was burning so bright that it was probably glowing through this poor guy's eyes?
I say, is it just like a Vader situation with the lightning in the helmet? You can see everything. Yeah, it's just that bright. See, that I can take. He just looked at it. I was like, is that? Are they all just smoking this thing? What's going on?
No, see,
you can see the joy. You're right.
I loved the green coming through the lenses. I thought that was such a perfect touch. So you get the zombie stormtroopers. That's cool. That's fun. Read Death Troopers by Joe. I think Schreiber is his name. Great book. Good for Halloween time. If you're in the mood for Star Wars and spooky. Flashing back to like 2015. And in the lead up to Rogue One, they're like, hey, we're going to have a new trooper called a Death Trooper. And they are Imperial Guards who, you have like the Royal Guard, and then you have these guys that are more like in a danger situation are here with like, heavy blasters, and they have a special type of grenade and all of that stuff. I think it is really funny that all of the clickbait sites, when they were like, they're called Death Troopers, not even all the clickbait sites, like the normal ones too, were like, ooh, they're called Death Troopers. Could that possibly mean that in this movie that everybody keeps saying is supposed to be a grounded Star Wars war movie, we're going to have zombies? Are these zombies? And everybody pretended with a straight face that maybe those troopers were zombies protecting Director Krennic. I think it's really funny that like 5-6 years later,
They are, in fact.
We take the long way around for Death Troopers to be zombies. Like, I thought that was really funny. I thought it was really funny that I was like, oh, we got zombies after all. Look at that. Look at us go. I that specific element I thought was funny. And I also like, because like there's, I don't know if it was like official art from a source book or if it was fan art that just gets circled around every time someone talks about the Death Troopers. I know it's on the Essential Legends republication of the book cover. That like the whole idea of like a zombie stormtrooper, that you have like the messed up bottom part of the helmet with the like I want brains mouth hanging out of the stormtrooper helmet. So I also like that they got that little bit of iconography in there too, of like it is a zombie.
Well, because how else are you going to get it with it, right? Because
yeah. I mean, you know, like to me, thinking about Death Troopers, the novel about like a zombie plague on an Imperial prison ship, which the pitch sounds awful, but the book is great.
I mean, they don't really pose much of a threat, do they?
Oh yeah.
Well, no, because let's think about it for a second. If you had a zombie inside stormtrooper armor, the worst part of a zombie is when you get bitten, right? Or you can go the whole thing if you can get scratched. But
they're still using blasters, and it's the whole shit. It's the whole shit.
It's a stormtrooper, famously known for not having the best of aim.
I don't want
when you're dead and you're at different angles and all this sort of stuff.
I don't want to spoil the book for anybody who hasn't read it. There is a main character who is shot and dies.
Yeah, but even so, that's because the writer wanted it to happen. But the practicality of a zombie in a stormtrooper outfit is the eyes aren't really in the best spot for that helmet.
It's the stormtroopers, it's officers, and it's a prison ship. The
officers fine because they're not in the stormtrooper suit, right? But if you have a stormtrooper suit where the mouth can just hang below, then it's not really a very good helmet.
It's also airborne. It's also you get zombified by being so. The zombies in Death Troopers are trying to eat people, to the point where like there's probably not a whole lot left of person, to become zombified. The plague itself is airborne. So a lot of the people on the ship fall ill and become zombies. So there's the threat there. And then you have the fact that you just have a ship full of zombies with blasters, zombies that have blasters that faces aren't obscured, and then the prisoners who are also just straight up zombies now. And you also have to remember that that is factoring in like different species that are on the ship. So like you encounter Wookiee zombies.
See, that's different.
That's horrifying.
You messed up at the start of a Wookiee anyway, but a Wookiee zombie, yeah, that's totally
fine. But no,
but a normal stormtrooper in a suit that hasn't been cracked or anything.
Read Death Troopers, you will have your.
I'm not going to. I'm just going to let you know right now. I will absolutely not do my Star Wars homework. I've done enough. But a basic stormtrooper, right? A basic trooper as a zombie, a generic zombie where he has to bite someone, isn't an immediate threat. Because they can't bite you through the helmet.
It doesn't have to bite, is what I'm saying.
No, I know. I'm saying like, it's just a generic zombie. A generic zombie.
And
which these were.
Now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure there's a part, like there's a mention in the book that at one point, like most of the troopers are missing the mouthpiece. That like they figure
convenient.
Out just rip it off. Is it convenient or is it logic? Is it like functional?
Well, it's a zombie story, right? They're all based on there's all some kind of convenience, and not exactly the most thrilling idea.
All of that to say, I do think it's funny that we took the long way to Death Troopers being Nazis. Or Nazis,
I just also find
they are Nazis, but they're also zombies.
Zom Nazis.
Yeah, space zombie Nazis.
Yeah. I just took the I see now I'm doing it. I took the zombies as haha lol JK confirmation that my Inquisitor Zombies idea is going to happen next.
Oh, for sure. I totally think Marok at
There's
this
no
point.
way.
Well, because it's also a similar effect. Like like Marok like the way Marok like out of his suit.
So he was the only one that did that.
But
He was the only one that had the puff.
He's the only one that had the puff, but it was a similar puff that brought them to life. And aside from the Death Troopers,
True, yeah.
Aside from the Death Troopers, we never really see any of the Night Troopers die. Like we see a couple of them get blaster bolts reflected at them and get hit with a lightsaber, and then they just kind of get back up. Yeah. So I think that
the one-time trooper armor actually works against blasters.
It works like that in other media.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It does in the Clone Wars. People survive blaster bolts all the time because of their armor. It's just less convenient in a space opera like the original trilogy. Come on, don't do this with me, Mitch. Don't do this with me.
I will.
I know you will. But yeah, no, I thought that was really fun. I loved, so brought to you by the guy who had a utter meltdown over Starfield. That same.
Oh, I saw. I didn't realize it was the same person. I saw it when I woke up. And I was reading. I think you retweeted someone going on about it. And
I made a thread. I made a thread about it. I didn't quote tweet him or at him because at this point, jabronis like him make money off of engagement.
Yeah,
and I'm not giving him a red cent. And it's I often talk about like the links between the fandom menace and like the alt-right proper, and a lot of it all boils down to deliberate misinformation and not understanding things on purpose. So like his whole thing about, Sabine can't use, they say Sabine can't use the Force, doesn't have a connection to the Force. And she also says that she's been training this whole time, but hasn't. And it's like, okay, first of all, one of those was there for Ahsoka and Sabine to have a do or do not, there is no try moment. Where you realize that Sabine has said, I'm trying, and Ahsoka has clearly said, Master Yoda once told me there is no try, do or do not. Which is cool. It's just a great moment. And the fact that we have the usual suspects boo-hooing it, just y'all are just allergic to fun. There's a great video made by the YouTuber Dead Domain, who pointed out that Heels v Babyface's whole meltdown with the whole pronouns, gender ambiguity.
I'm offended by that accent.
Listen. First of all, that's not my fault. That's what he sounds like. Second of all,
it was close, but yeah, that was. Yeah.
Sometimes you hear something that just kind of becomes like an auditory tick in your side of your own mind.
Yeah.
And ever since I saw that video, effing pronouns, gender ambiguity, is just like it's like a song that gets stuck in your head. Like I'll just sometimes think those words next to each other and giggle to myself. So Dead Domain, I think they use they them pronouns. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've only seen a handful of their videos. It was very recent. So my apologies there. I know they present female, and I know that they're trans. I can't remember their exact pronouns. I don't think they're displayed on their YouTube channel without me watching a whole video to get to it. So my apologies there. I'm just going to say they to be safe. They point out, and they pull up the stream where that meltdown happens, where Heels v Babyface is talking to an NPC in Starfield, and the NPC he's speaking to says something, I'm basically a clone of this one guy. And he interprets that as it's a transgender clone.
Yeah.
And then over the course of like 10, 15 minutes starts to unravel to the point where that rant happens. What's made abundantly clear is that this clone was not a man who transitioned into being a woman, but it's just we took the genetic makeup of this guy and made another person with it.
It's Jessica Drew from 1610.
Or, you
I'm
know,
a Peter Parker clone. I'm actually a woman.
or not unlike Omega in the Bad Batch.
Not that I've seen it, but yeah.
You know, like the same thing. Omega is a reproduction of Jango Fett that in the, you know, for lack of a better term, gestation process of creating this individual from this clone DNA came out as female. You know, Heels v Babyface unravels to the point where he just convinces himself that this character is trans. And that begets the whole rant. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. And like you said, I made a little thread about like, let's like unpack everything he's saying here. The fact that he is, again, convincing himself of text that is not there, to be angry at it. You know, where like Sabine's like, oh, I've been training this whole time. She's clearly being glib because she's been running for her life using her lightsaber and trying to use the Force. You know, and again, Hu Yang never says that she is not Force sensitive. This show,
no, it's always very low. Like, he always makes the point of saying, like, you know, the potential is incredibly tiny.
Yeah, you know, and we see Sabine, you know, use the Force for the first time with help from Ezra and Ahsoka. Now we don't even know for sure if she actually aided in keeping that door open.
No, that scene made me laugh. Where she's like, Sabine helping, like, is she helping? I can't.
Here's the unplugged controller. Sabine, help! You know, but so was it that? I don't know, but we do see her finally, you know, in that moment of stress, force pull the lightsaber, and. You know, and I think it's cool that, like, you know, Sabine is finally, like, kind of, I think, is you know, obviously she's, like, under duress because this zombie's trying to eat her. But, like, she finally finds her centeredness and, like, lets the Force in and is able to call on it. And all of these, like, oh, she's a self-trained Mary Sue. No, she's not. No, she's not. You are deliberately, you are being wrong on purpose to say that. You know, it's just like the Rey stuff. It's just like the Reva stuff.
Well, this is what I've never understood people going on about this sort of argument in Star Wars, because one of the first things you get told is it's literally everyone can do this.
Yeah,
this is the thing everyone is capable of. It can get to the point where it's just like breathing, like
I've never been one for the idea that anyone can be a Jedi. You know, like the Force is in all.
I mean, not everyone can be a Jedi, no, but I think having the ability to use the Force in some capacity. Yeah, it's in every living thing. Well, then everything can do it.
Yeah, my example has always been Chirrut Imwe. He is not what we would call Force sensitive, but he is so in tune with the Force that he can. He kind of gets like a trial run of it in a way.
Yeah.
Where he's able to use the Force to make up for the fact that he can't see. He's able to sense people's emotions and how they're feeling. Like, he's able to use the Force. Now, say I'm going to use another blind Jedi, for example, Kanan Jarrus. Like, Kanan, his ability to use the Force to see and make up for his lack of vision is like what Chirrut does, cranked up to 11, because Kanan is fully enveloped in the Force, as opposed to Chirrut, who's like in communication with it. It's just, it's so hard to misunderstand Star Wars, and so many people do it so spectacularly. And there's a profit motive. There's a profit motive to be media illiterate. But no, speaking of Kanan, I got choked up. I got real choked up.
The whole lightsaber bit, yeah.
You know, I've always said that I think the lightsaber as a fictional weapon is the lightsaber is the greatest fictional weapon of all time, because you get so much of who a person is out of a lightsaber. You know, my favorite example is, look at Kylo Ren. Everything you need to know about where he is at mentally, spiritually, is displayed in
how
his
messy
lightsaber.
that thing looks.
How messy it is, how it's cobbled together, how it is, and we eventually find out it was his original lightsaber that he like heavily modified. So like Ben Solo this isn't who Ben Solo is. He has to basically break his lightsaber to make it Kylo Ren's.
Yeah.
He is so full of these angry emotions, but like he knows that like the dark side is not who he is. He is pulled to the light, that when he goes to bleed his crystal, it shatters. The lightsaber looks like it's about to explode because he is just trying so hard to be this thing that he isn't. It's such a beautiful representation of who he is as a character. And that's always been the case for Star Wars. And I love that Ezra's new lightsaber is like it is part a reflection of Kanan.
I'll say it's not one for one Kanan's though, is it? It's just the same.
It's Kanan's emitter. It's Kanan's emitter.
Yeah.
And then like the actual like hilt, like the shaft of the hilt is different.
Yeah.
So you have that very iconic Kanan emitter with, his own version of it. And like the idea that Ezra is using cobbled together parts from an old Jedi cruiser or a Jedi shuttle that Hugh Yang has, that represents his journey as a Jedi.
Yeah.
That he's just kind of picking up pieces. He's found family, but he's also just picking up pieces wherever he can go. And he puts it together. And what is the thing that kind of literally caps off this thing? A representation of the man who taught him everything he knows.
One small beat on that I absolutely adored was that no, that's not right. It's like it's close, but it's not the one he used. It's like I need the one he used. Like even with everything going on, he had that. I need this exact one. I was like, oh, Ezra.
I do love the idea that like Ezra's like, if I'm going to get back in this fight, I need to represent Kanan.
Yeah,
I really do love that. And God, man, if Ezra gets to train Jason, like
I assume he probably will.
I know y'all are gonna need to like admit me somewhere.
Again,
I'm going to be. Jared, you just got out after seeing Anakin. Yeah, no, it's gonna be an emotional gut punch in the best way. Another beat, coming back to like Masters and Apprentices, which has been like one of the core themes of the show. The moment where Ahsoka sees Anakin's ghost, having that be like a silent, "You done good, thank you."
Yeah.
Like,
and I assume in a season 2 or a movie, they're going to have more of a conversation like that.
Maybe, I do like that. And again, there's something I really love about the way Anakin has appeared to Ahsoka. That like at first it was this like, I need you to learn this lesson on your own that I'm going to guide you through.
Yeah.
And here he appears to her to just be like, "You done good, kid," which I really loved.
Now with that, just quickly, was Sabine seeing him, or was she seeing something to do with the Mortis gods?
I think Sabine. I don't know. I don't think she saw Anakin's ghost at the end.
This is one thing I'm not sure. I don't think they've ever actually, at least in what I've watched, if they've explained it, I've forgotten it. But how does that work? Is it a case of, hey, everyone can see me? Because I assume that's the case in Return of the Jedi.
I don't think so. I don't think everybody.
Or is it just I'm only appearing to you?
I don't know. I don't know if it's you need to be connected to the Force to see it. Like perhaps if Leia was more in tune with the Force, she would have seen the ghosts. Or if they were only appearing to Luke, or if they were only appearing to Luke because he's using the Force, or if they were just kind of there and no one noticed because Luke was the only one who knew to look.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But
I don't think we've ever had a shot of a group of, or at least more than one person, actively looking and interacting with a Force ghost.
That's true.
Not that I can remember anyway.
Not that I can think of either, but I do really love that little stinger there. Now, the thing that I don't love about the ending, and something that I can go either way on, these are one of those I'm going to let them cook and
Yeah.
keep an open mind. I don't love that Ahsoka and Sabine were left on Peridia.
Now, you know what? I was about to say the whole cheesy, we're now going to swap places bit. Because that was a bit cheesy.
It's not so much the cheese of it, so much as that it is the next story that involves them is again going to have to involve a trip to Peridia. At which point,
not necessarily.
It's either going to involve another trip to Peridia, or, well, let me rephrase that. It's going to involve a trip to Peridia. Does that mean now that they know how to do it, it'll be easier? Or does that mean there will be a whole season of television dedicated to liberating them from Peridia? Now, granted, Baylan and Shin are there, and that means all the cool Force stuff that Baylan's involved in, we get to see a little bit more close up and personal. So I'm okay with that. It left me going, okay. So we're just gonna just this a good chunk of this story is gonna be back and forth between the galaxies.
See, I don't know if it's gonna be. I'm not entirely sure. Like, obviously, the story is going to have to switch backwards and forwards, but I don't think you're necessarily going to get like an Ezra and Hera going to Peridia. I don't think that's going to be what their story is, because you have Thrawn being the immediate threat, right?
Yeah.
No, they can't not waste time on Sabine and Ahsoka. They have to actively combat that threat of Thrawn right there. Now, they got there in whale farts or space whale farts to begin with anyway. There's a multitude of ways they can come back.
Yeah, for sure. But you also have Ahsoka doing the whole like we are where we're supposed to be thing.
Exactly, yeah.
And again, that alone, and again, not that I'm complaining about the story having the gall to be ambiguous. I just like really want to know what that meant. Yeah. Like, is Ahsoka saying we are where we're supposed to be, as in like
it's because right?
There's like
wild,
the Force
wild spitball.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because Sabine got in tune with the Force on Peridia, she's gonna be a major factor in the Mortis gods.
Perhaps. I really badly want to know what Ahsoka like. Are you saying we are where we're meant to be because like we're better off here and maybe our part of the fight is over? Or is Ahsoka saying like the Force wills us to be here because we have unfinished business on Peridia?
I think it's the latter, right? You see the owl, you got Baylan and Shin going on there. If it is Abeloth, you can't really let that run wild.
No, I mean whatever it is, Baylan.
Yeah.
As much as I love Baylan as a character, whatever immense power he's seeking, he can't be trusted with.
No, you can't let that just
So I don't know, but at the end of the day, I really did love this show. I don't know if it's my favorite yet, especially because we're going to be getting another season for sure. Like
this is my question to leave it off on. Do we get a season 2, or is this the movie?
So everything is said season finale. So.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean then you could go season, movie, season.
Sure, you could. Either way,
we're going to get. I don't think it would work that way, but
I think we're going to get a season 2 of this show. Especially the way that the strikes have delayed so much. I don't think that the Filoni movie's coming out until at least 2026.
I mean, you got to add on another year, at least another year to when anything was going to be planned to come out.
Yeah, and I believe the order was supposed to be like Rey, Filoni, Dawn of the Jedi. So my money is on we don't get like Dave's Imperial Remnant
28, 29.
I'd say maybe more like 26, 27. I think 26, 27 is a little...
see, to me, that's close. What, for Dave's movie?
Yeah, I mean, so much of it...
That's close.
I don't think it's that far away.
I mean, you need at least 2 years to make a movie. Have they even got a script for the Rey movie yet? How close is that to go? Obviously, you can film more than one movie at the same time.
You can film more than one movie at the same time. But I believe that before, what's his name, who was attached to it before, like right before Celebration, he had a treatment turned in. So like they have
that means nothing. Right.
Well, sure, it means nothing. I mean, we went from Duel of the Fates to Rise of Skywalker, but I think that they have more to work with the Rey movie to get started with that.
Yeah.
And I think that Dave and John have something ready, like have an idea that they can start building from. And
speaking of the idea, there's that drawing Filoni done of Sabine and Ahsoka, and Ahsoka's got the stick, and I think it's from like 2019, and they're like in the snow trawling through mountains. And people are going like, is that them on Peridia? Was that them not searching for Ezra, but it's actually them on Peridia? Obviously, at the time, I highly doubt it was for Peridia, right? No one. This show wasn't conceived in 2019. There's no chance.
You say that, but you look at the other there's trading card, like the Ahsoka Lives Topps cards, and then you look at what happened in Episode 5.
I mean, I don't have the cards, so.
I mean, well, a lot of it was there was Ahsoka in Vader's shadow. It was Ahsoka in the water. It was Ahsoka in a forest. A lot of it, I do think Dave has had an idea as to how this happens. And
you can have an idea, sure, but it's. I don't know.
I think Dave has enough of an idea that is why he retconned Ahsoka the White. That is what I mean. That
I don't know if he has or not. Because you still have no hard date for when the end of Rebels.
No, but it was recreated in the premiere so hard that
it was. It's actually done, I think, twice in this show.
No, it was only the one time where
you sure? I'm certain it was. I'm certain it was twice. I'm certain they do it more than once in this show.
When they recreate that moment, I do think it was Dave going, I now have the storytelling real estate to fully show you how Ahsoka the White becomes a thing.
Entirely possible, yeah.
That was him walking it back so he could show you Ahsoka's journey, because I think he thought that Ahsoka would experience that weird metamorphosis on her own, and it was just all that happened and now she's here. Whereas now he got to go back and show it happen and then go.
Yeah, I just don't believe that any creative in his position, sure, you might have an ending in mind and a general idea. You do not have all the nuance and minutiae of that idea sorted out.
Oh, of course.
Cool. I want Ahsoka to go from A to B. He has no idea how she gets from A to B. That's not figured out yet. Maybe 2019. I know it's not that far back from where we are now, and this show would have been done closer to that, but. No, I don't think you'd waste, especially with Mando. I don't think you'd waste the mental real estate on actually trying to figure that out when you don't know it's going to happen.
But no, I do think that between now and say 2026, 2027, I think 2027 is more likely. You have enough room. They obviously, he said they wrote Mando season 4 before the strike, so Mando season 4 is essentially ready.
But didn't they also say they had season 3 written with Boba Fett, and then it was 2 years in between? No, there was a longer than usual gap between 2 and 3.
I don't think they said that with Boba. I think that this one they said we have season 3 coming out and then season 4 is already ready. So once the actor strike wraps up, I would not be surprised if Mando season 4 gets rolling pretty.
Oh, everything that's been delayed is going to just instantly kickstart. It's just a matter of waiting.
But if it comes out in 2027, that gives us 4 years, more like 3 because it's already almost 2024. Yeah. But I think maybe 28. But that gives you room to do another season of Mando, another season of Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew. I think we're gonna get his movie sooner than later. I really do.
I think out of the 3 they announced, I think Filoni's is probably the safest. As in, it's not going to get Star Wars like every other Star Wars movie's been the last few years.
Listen.
Look, I know you don't like to hear it, but it's been happening.
It's.
They announce, they throw away. They announce, they throw away. Where's Lando?
They're working on it now.
When did they announce Lando?
When did they announce Civil War? Years and years and years in advance.
They announced Civil War. right before Age of Ultron came out, because they showed one of the first pieces of footage we saw for Age of Ultron was the Cap ripping apart the log, and not Filoni, Feige on stage said that that's a hint to what's to come, because it was at that Phase 3 announcement, which wasn't that far, because Cap Civil War was one of the earliest movies in Phase 3.
Listen, we got plenty of time.
We do
That's
have
all
plenty of time.
saying.
I'm just
And
saying.
I'm not gonna make them rush perfection. And from what I understand of the inside baseball of Rogue Squadron, we're better off.
Rogue Squadron. I forgot about that show.
Yeah, movie.
Was that a show?
Movie.
Was it a movie?
Patty Jenkins doing X-Men.
Oh, I mean, that was Patty Jenkins. Let's not.
But yeah, no, I did really love this show. I loved its mythic qualities.
Mm.
You know, I think it's either in my number 2 or number 3 spot. You know,
Yeah.
it is, you know,
I'm always weird with rankings. I know I made that tweet, but honestly, those top 3 are interchangeable to me.
Oh, for sure. Same. And I love them all for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know,
I also fear the newness bias, the recency bias. I hate
That's
being
why
that
I'm
guy.
waiting.
Oh, I watched the thing. It's my favorite. Like, no.
That's why I'm
no,
waiting to have like a definitive take on it, because like
Mm.
because, and I've said this before, like my excitement for The Mandalorian was different than my excitement for Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was different than my excitement for
Yeah.
Ahsoka. Like the only two I can really compare are Mando and Boba.
Yeah.
For me, because like my excitement came from a similar place of like that developing story. But yeah, so that's Ahsoka.
Yeah, one thing just to end it off, 'cause I've literally just remembered it. Going back to the whole missing shots. I don't think we ever saw them pick Sabine's helmet up. Last we saw, I'm certain of it, that helmet was left on whatever that planet was called. We never saw Ahsoka or Hugh Yang pick it up. And I found it weird that she just goes clunk on her head in this one.
I'm trying to think.
I'm going to rewatch the whole show again after this.
It was left on Cetos, but
Yeah.
Hugh Yang had it when they were like.
But I
hoping to
don't
stay
remember
together and
ever
never
seeing
listening.
him pick it up. I don't think there was ever a shot of her.
No, but I mean, I can believe that he was holding the helmet. I can believe that he just brought it back on the T6 with him.
Yeah, it's just one of those where it's Ahsoka going up the stairs. You never have that established. Yeah. Anyway, it wasn't. It's only a nitpick. It's just something that it took me an hour and a half to remember that that was a thing I thought about this episode. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this show. I want more. I think it's egregious they released this with that ending during a strike, which means you had to wait longer.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, at least the writer's strike is the strike is over. The contract's not signed, as far as I'm aware. And I know SAG is meeting over the weekend or the weekend. By the time people hear this, just gone. So hopefully they're on the edge.
By the time you hear this, hopefully we have outdated strike information.
By the time you hear this, we just have to hope that the VFX workers aren't on strike, because that's the second they unionize, they're going on strike.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them, to be honest.
No, they should.
Absolutely should.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, now that all these VFX houses are unionizing, I think that I would hope that Hollywood is aware of the fact that they are just up the creek if they don't change how they're behaving right now. But yeah, power to the laborers, and Ahsoka rules.
It does, yeah. So thanks again for joining, Jared, and go sub to this man, please.
Yes, we are so close. We need like 60 more subscribers, guys. I'm watching that. I'm watching that watch time.
Oh,
number
never be. Don't fall into the number trap. It's
Listen, I just
it
as
will
a
overtake
person,
you.
I as a person like to watch numbers go up.
It will absolutely overtake you if you watch YouTube numbers go up.
So yeah. Anyway, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure as always.
It's a pleasure. We've also got Loki coming out.
Yes, we do.
Today is we're recording it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Loki Day. Yeah.
Yeah. I almost, before you messaged me, because I saw it and I was like, oh, cool, he's not free Friday. I was going to suggest about doing a back-to-back one, but
I would if it were not for the fact that I have to go to work here in a minute.
oh yeah, you do. Damn. Oh, see, I'm looking at the recording thinking I got an hour and a half. I'm like, I got 6 minutes, and it's like, no, it's 12 o'clock for you now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I skedaddle here in like half an hour, so I want to try to grab a bite before then.
So thanks everyone for joining, and we'll catch you, or I'll catch you for Loki. So bye bye.